Our news editor, Ngalwa, is standing by. Sbu, I believe that you will be in conversation with the IFPs and Mkhuleko, Hlengwa. They must be quite pleased, especially with their performance in KwaZulu-Natal.
That's correct, Tammy. I mean, the IFP have grown their seats by not less than 100 in this particular election, and that outcome is truly pleasing to the party. And also given the fact that things have shifted now, as of today, I mean, the reason why we're standing outside here is because there's a sweep that is currently taking place inside as the workers are also clearing. So it tells you that the battleground, or also the negotiations, move away from here. The election is done, and now it's between the parties to discuss what exactly they will be doing and how they'll be sharing power. And now the reason why the IFP becomes important here is that not only have they doubled the number of municipalities that they were in control of in KwaZulu-Natal, but the reality is that there are also a number of municipalities. I think there's no less than 15 that are hung, which means that the next few days are going to be crucial between the parties. Hence we bring in now Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa, who's the national spokesperson of the IFP. Mr. Hlengwa, I must say though, I feel like I've been talking to you all week. I feel like I've reached my quota of interviewing you for the year.
I feel like I've become a contributor on Newzroom Afrika as well. But maybe at the outset, one must actually thank the media for the work that they have done during this election under very difficult circumstances. COVID on one hand, and of course, political parties pulling you left, right, and center. And so we really want to thank you as well, and also in your capacity as chair of SANEF as well. So siyabonga kakhulu, and I think it's testament to a democracy that its problems notwithstanding is on a trajectory of survival, in that the fourth estate continues to perform its duties and responsibilities largely without any problem.
Sure, I'll accept that on behalf of my colleagues. But now talking about these coalitions, you've got these municipalities that are hung throughout KwaZulu-Natal. Do you have a strategy as a party as to who you'll be talking to? Are you going into these discussions with a principle, or it's a matter of what the other party has to offer?
We are going into these negotiations with an open mind, in the collective interest of what will work. And therefore we are not tied to participating to a coalition if we feel that it is not in the interest of service delivery. So where we will be participating, it will be on the basis of agreeing on practical and tangible deliverables to the people amongst us as parties. And where there's disagreement, you must be able to note that here we don't agree. And in the majority, if there's issues we agree upon, we will then participate. The National Council of the Party is meeting on Saturday, and from there a negotiating team will be appointed, and the NEC will be the one then thrashing out and practicalizing all these matters. So we don't want to go into these negotiations haphazardly. They are very serious and very complex, because their implications are largely for the electorate, and so we need to be sensitive to the collective needs of the electorate.
Sure, and I asked you this question yesterday, and obviously in politics a lot can happen in 24 hours. I know that parties are talking behind the scenes, people are calling each other. Who has approached you as yet as the IFP?
The IFP is not engaging in any talks at this point in time.
You're merely putting them off until you've met?
Yeah, and we're not approaching anyone, and we're not expecting anybody to be approaching us for this simple reason. The results must come out first today. We also had to wait for the PR calculations, which obviously come out at the end. And two, we have to look at the district allocations of the 60% in terms of who will be sent where. So we have to do the internal numbers first, so that we negotiate on the basis of knowing exactly where it is that will be playing a role. Here in Gauteng, of course, the numbers are quite clear. There are about 8 municipalities that are actually hung, and so we'll be looking at those variables and numbers quite closely. But of course, the IFP in KwaZulu-Natal is leading in about 15 municipalities that are hung, and so we will have to take initiative as a matter of urgency on those spaces.
And it makes perfect sense. And I know that this outcome, this election outcome, is quite pleasing to the IFP, and has generated a lot of excitement among some of your supporters. I've seen some videos circulating on social media, including one of IFP supporters outside the municipality, Nopongolo, demanding the keys to the municipality from the ANC. I mean, I can understand the excitement, but someone might argue that given the historical tensions between the parties, that perhaps that kind of excitement would need to be curbed somewhat?
Well, yes, we understand it really to be a jovial mood. No harm has been done. And our structures worked really hard under very difficult circumstances. And they're also coming from a time and an era where they had been heightened frustration because of the lack of service delivery, the looting and the corruption that has taken place. We are, however, imploring our supporters and structures to exercise maximum restraint and to allow the electoral process to run its due course, and for us to get the keys officially. What has been happening has largely been very symbolic, and nobody's been hurt, nobody's been harmed, and I think there is a general understanding, Guguti, it's all in the name of fun, notwithstanding the serious reflection which it has in terms of the change that people had been yearning for and they now have. And so we are really saying to our structures, as Jablesi have responsible fun and allow the processes to run their course. But as far as we are concerned, no harm has been done about that.
Right, Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa speaks for the IFP. Thank you very much for your time. Obviously, Tammy, as you can hear there is a bit of excitement and a fervent mood in some of those municipalities as the members of the IFP cannot wait to access those council chambers and also the mayor's office in those particular municipalities. That will be the nature of deliberations. That's how things will be over the next few days as the various parties begin the horse trading, as the various parties get into negotiations to decide as to who will lead in all these municipalities. And Tammy, I think the last I checked, there are about 66 municipalities that are hung around the country, and that figure, of course, I stand corrected, but that's a lot of municipalities, which tells you there'll be a lot of jostling, there'll be a lot of negotiations. So while we would have expected that from today, we will have it easier as journalists. It doesn't look like that will be the case, as we still need to be following the proceedings in those various localities, Tammy.
Certainly, Sbu. Thank you very much for that update. As Ngalwa has said, he is outside of the rock because inside all preparations are for 6 p.m. this evening. As you can see, really nicely set up. It's all cleaned. Sniffer dogs are apparently making their way around. You can see the projections on the monitors and on the screens as the IEC readies itself to present the final results for the local government elections 2021. It's only about 3 more hours to go, and it certainly looks like they've got their ducks in a row, even the chairs all nicely lined up and doing all sorts of checks.